It is time for our Week 1 power rankings here at Chat Sports. Now, these were voted on by all the different Chat Sports employees. So if your team is lower than what they should be, I actually take zero accountability. I think that was somebody else who screwed up the voting against your team, so I apologize for that. But it was a consensus voting AP poll style, so I take no responsibility. Choose to be mad in the comments. It's I understand. It's fine. 32-1 as always. In last place, barely in last place, the New Orleans Saints with massive quarterback uncertainty. Not unanimous last place team, but they checked in with the final spot of these power rankings. Now, if you want us to do these every single week, updates on Tuesday morning, show us you want us to do it by sharing today's video. Free, simple, easy, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Share today's video on social media if you want us to do weekly NFL power rankings. Number 31, the Cleveland Browns, and they were narrowly ahead of the Saints. Does anyone truly believe in these teams? Massive quarterback uncertainty, a factor in why they are 32-31. This long-term quarterback uncertainty. Tennessee is number 30, and there were some disagreements. In fact, they were actually as high as 20 on some of the voters' lists, which, if you believe in Cam Ward, I think that's reasonable. Indianapolis, this shows you how bad the AFC South is. They're number 29 on this list. There's kind of a very narrow gap between 30 and 29, a bit of a gap between 29 and 28. It's a lack of confidence in Daniel Jones right here. The Jets check in at the 28th spot of the NFL Power Rankings. New quarterback in Justin Fields, but obviously some linchpins in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, but a rebuild coming up. Carolina, they're 27. They were better last year as the season went along, but they still only won a handful of games, had an early pick. We'll see if the Bryce Young, Dave Canales kind of going to take another step forward in year 2 paired up. Number 26, the New York Giants. As high as 18, which I found wasn't even Marshall who did that, by the way, our Giants host. It was not even him who did that. I am not convinced on the Giants. I need to see it happen. They might be a more competent team, but they got a long way to go. Jacksonville, I think, has a pretty decent wide range of outcomes. Like, maybe it all finally clicks together. This is the year Trevor Lawrence lives up to the hype and the expectation he has actually not done outside of, like, maybe a 5-game sample size previously. If Liam Cohen can't make it work with him, it might be time to give up on the Trevor Lawrence dreams. Who wins the Super Bowl this year? It's the pinned comment on today's show. Early predictions as we get set up for Week 1 here. Let me know who you think wins this year's Super Bowl. Raiders at 24. I think they'll be a more competent, it feels a little extreme, but it's the word I'm going with right now, team under Pete Carroll, under Geno Smith. I think their ceiling is still a bit limited, but they should have more success than some of their previous runs. Arizona, I know there are some believers in them as a breakout team. I need to see it from Kyler Murray. Again, there was like an 8-game sample in which he played great and hasn't been that great since then. If it doesn't work this year for Arizona and Kyler Murray, the trade rumors will be here. There's a lot of faith in Drake May and Mike Vrabel as a tandem together in New England. I think that process is going to take time. I don't think it'll be an overnight thing for New England, but I do think that is a team that is going to be able to take some steps forwards and show growth. And next year, I'll be talking about them as a breakout team for 2026. On the flip side, a lot of disagreements on the Miami Dolphins. One voter had them as low as 28 on the list. Others had them at 16 in the top half. Like, the Dolphins being down there at 21 is understandable because they were so shaky last year, and I think there's just a lack of upside confidence in them. The Falcons at 20, maybe juiced a little bit, playing in a NFC South that is very gettable. They have to win this year. If they don't, if it's a struggle fest for Michael Penix and this new regime, year 2 regime, I guess, with no first-round pick, boy, that's going to be a lot of hindsight criticism on the Falcons there. Number 19, the Dallas Cowboys. Actually pretty consistently ranked like in the later teens, low 20s because they weren't that good last year. The head coach is a total unknown, frankly. And if the quarterback's healthy, they've been around 500 in years past, but it's reasonable to question if they're going to be around 500. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out. But Dallas, there's some concern there for sure. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It's simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. They put users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick, easy deposits into your account this football season. Now, of note, the Prize Picks Power Play is available. Dak Prescott more than a half passing yard for that Thursday night football game. Xavier Worthy more than 3.5 yards. And I think just one little jet touch pass, or jet sweep, I should say. That's all it takes. Ashton Genty, anytime touchdown as well. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's Prize Picks, or it's good to be right. Narrowly ahead of Dallas, a team that certainly has some more confidence going forward, the Chicago Bears at number 18 overall. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson. I am excited about that duo long-term, kind of like the Patriots, with maybe a better chance to be better in year one relative to the division, unfortunately. I think that the Bears are on the right path. It just might not come this season. I'll be honest, there's kind of a gap here for me, like with how I did my voting, where I honestly don't know what to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. History tells us they're probably going to win 9 to 10 games. They always do that. But is this the year it finally falls apart for them with Cam Hayward's unhappiness? And I don't know if Aaron Rodgers, Arthur Smith works together as a pairing. I will give the Steelers benefit of the doubt. I had them actually higher than 17, but they're a team I don't have a great feel for. Seattle at 16, to be blunt, I was not as high on them. I have concerns about this organization. I worry about the offense. I worry about Sam Darnold. Hopefully Clinton Kubiak can fix things. They might start hot and then kind of falter like the Saints with Kubiak did last season. I think they're going in the proper direction, but me putting them at 6 in the top 20 was kind of like, I don't know who else to put here, frankly. The top 15 I felt pretty darn good about. Minnesota, I think they are a playoff team. I had them even higher on my list. I like them as a team that if J.J. McCarthy is average, they're going to have great success. If he's more than average, look out. This team's going to make some major, major noise. I know not everyone liked Bo Nix coming out. I did not like Bo Nix coming out of college. I wasn't as high on him. But Sean Payton made it work. And I think it's at some point, we probably have to be better as fans in general, and this goes for me too, about letting go of our draft expectations and how they're playing. Like, if everyone loved Bo Nix coming out, like, he would have been reviewed as a borderline top 10 QB. He was that good last year. The floor was high. He's got mobility. He can throw it downfield more than he did at Oregon. Sean Payton's going to maximize him, and that defense is loaded. I had them number 11 on my own rankings. So will your team make the playoffs this year? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. The first of the teams I had in my top 10 that missed it on the Chat Sports AP poll style voting, the San Francisco 49ers. I get it was a down year. They were so decimated by injury. I think they're going to have a significant bounce back this year. I buy the Niners as a potential playoff team. Houston at number 12. There were some disagreements there, kind of consistently just outside the top 10, though. If the offensive line is better, look out. Is the offensive line going to be better? I don't know. The Bengals check in at number 11 on this list. The offense is probably top 3. The defense might be bottom 3. There's some major question marks on that front. The Bengals have to start the year better, or it's going to be more of the same song and dance we've seen in recent seasons. The Chargers at 10, I was a little bit lower on them, and our number 9 team we'll get to here in a second. I worry they're a year away from truly taking that big-time step forward and being even better. But I do think playoff expectations are reasonable for every single one of these teams, and maybe even a little bit higher. We will have live NFL coverage year-round for you here on Chat Sports, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Number 9, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was lower on them. They were in my top 15, but not by much. Baker is coming off a career season. I don't know if he's going to replicate that. If he takes a 10% drop back, which is fair to expect, we've seen it time and time again, that's not a top 10 team for me anymore. I think the Bucs will be a playoff team, but top 10, I don't know if they should really have Super Bowl hype. I still worry about Todd Bowles and some game time decision moments and critical factors there. Number 8, the LA Rams. If Stafford's healthy. If Stafford's healthy, they plummet down these rankings. But healthy veteran QB, defense kind of getting retooled. They did some good stuff last year. I do like them in the NFC West. The Commanders at 7. Hopefully not this year's version of the Texans where we have high hopes and they make the playoffs but don't live up to expectations. They had a hell of a run last season. Let's see if they can do it again. The Green Bay Packers. Honestly, we did the voting after the Micah Parsons trade. They probably went up a little bit for most people after the Micah Parsons trade. They were always going to be top 10. Maybe they jumped to 6 from like 7 or 8. I had them at 5 myself. Who do you think is the most overrated team in the NFL? Your chance to be critical of teams that you just don't buy for whatever reason right now. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Number 5 is the Detroit Lions. I have concerns of it's an all-new coaching staff outside, the coordinators are all brand new. How is that going to affect things? But I do trust Dan Campbell. That roster is really talented. We can quibble over 5, 6, 4, 7, whatever. I think they're a clear-cut top 8 team. We're kind of in that Super Bowl contender range and kind of have been in that for the last couple teams here. The Chiefs check in at number 4, and no surprise, there's a lot of AFC teams here all in a row. Can they be better on offense? It was kind of not fun to watch last year. It was not the Mahomes air raid offense. It was kind of dink and dunk a little bit. Maybe they'll be better this year with Josh Simmons and some fun pieces healthy now. Number 3, the Bills. The difference, by the way, I do make notice, between number 3 and number 2, I am pretty sure was 1 vote. 1 spot in the voting is all that separated the Bills from number 3 and the Ravens from number 2. That is all that differentiated those two teams. That's it. If someone had voted the Bills at 3 and the Ravens at 4 or at 3 and 2, whatever, it would have flipped, and they would have been tied for second. And I think that's fair. Both of these teams, all 3 of these AFC teams, should view themselves as actual Super Bowl expectations. If they don't get there, it's at least going to be a disappointment. Not a failure, but a disappointment. They weren't unanimous, and I resent that several of our voters did not put the Eagles at number 1 overall. I just don't think that makes any sense. It may or may not have been some people who have been accused of having L takes in the past and others, just throwing that out there. They are, as far as I'm sure, the undisputed number 1. Until the Eagles lose a game, I don't believe in docking them from the number 1 spot. They won the Super Bowl. They didn't lose that much. Philadelphia should be viewed as the best team in football this year.